forklift?
Yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
Ciao Juventini, Victory Monday, baby. Victory Monday. We love Victory Mondays, and when it comes at the hands of Inter, it is fantastic. I apologize for the delays, everybody, okay? I really do, but hold up. Oh, for Christ's sake. Just
It's a handball.
flooding, man, and everything is wet, and they're...
It's a handball. That's what it was.
Everything is
Stop it.
wet. It's not stopping, man. The tears. The absolute tears. It's
delaying the show.
insane. Everything is just soaked.
Yeah,
I got my towel here. It's unbelievable. Let's take a look at the tears. Let's see some of these tears right now. Okay, let's pull this out.
Look at what they did.
A sensational theft. The mafia rules Italian football. Wow. Okay. Ooh, good, clean Juve. So good. Ah, it is so good. Gianni, it really is so good.
Johnny, friend of the show, by the way.
What else we got here? Kifi's
Alessandro.
getting suspended, right? Because all of the video evidence and all the pundits talking about the error and not even going to check the monitor after several minutes of VAR looking at the images. Ooh, right? No, Alessandro.
No.
You ain't right. Right. Okay. Oh, yeah. The sensational theft yet again. This is fantastic. I absolutely love it. Okay. Inject that shit into my veins, baby. Inter falling and the tears flowing. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Guys, that's probably one of the few times you'll hear me say that I'm fine with us sitting back and doing it, because I don't care how, and I said that, just get the job done. Get the job done. But it isn't a derby without a little bit of controversy, right, fellas?
It was a handball. It was a handball. I don't want you to grow up. Grow up.
I love it. Omer?
I'm psyched, man. I mean, I don't feel like criticizing anything or anyone. I'm just super hyped. Double on Inter this season. We still have to meet those crybabies twice. But
Yes.
all the more reason to celebrate.
And
All
I think
the
there was
more
a
reason
stat
to
out there
celebrate.
that's the, I don't know if we want to get into it now, but that's the first time Juventus has kept a clean sheet in both games against Inter since, Alberto?
Since Anthony was 30.
1976.
Boom.
1977. Yeah.
And that's and never mind, Omer. I'm gonna
Oh,
let that
for
one
Christ's
slide.
sake,
I'm
guys,
in a
I'm
good
so
mood.
sorry. I'm so
Let it
sorry.
slide.
Let's slide.
I'm so sorry. It's still going. These goddamn Interista flood warnings are in effect, everybody, worldwide with these Inter tears. God damn it. Oh,
You
Yeah,
had
my
me
umbrella
thinking
here.
pregame. See, you had me thinking pregame that I was hearing things, but I wasn't.
you were hearing things, but yes.
Okay, fair
The Interisti. I love it. Cry. All right.
Guess
Now,
what's in the mug?
this game, let's get through it. Let's get through the highlights. Let's talk about all the good stuff. Okay, so first off, if you're tuning in on your audio outlets, head over to YouTube channel. That's where all the fun takes place. All right, subscribe to the channel. Everybody else that's here, we have super chat enabled if you choose to support the podcast in that manner. Otherwise, check out our merch if you want to grab some new merch. Okay, we got a ton of cool designs in there. Everybody, I got rocking the 23-24 away kit, fellas. What do you think? This concept based off it's gonna be slightly different. But what do you guys think?
About the shirt?
Yeah, the kit. Well, come on. What do you like it? I love it.
Is there a reason why you got a youth medium?
No, buddy. Just the guns, baby.
Oh.
Tell Lucci
Yeah, it looks
that's
all right.
what happens when you don't order schmedium, okay? And you just actually fill your shirts. Now, let's
looks
get
good.
to it. So, the lineup. Tech, Gatti, Bremer, Danilo, Deschilio, Fagioli, Locatelli, Rabiot, Kostic, Sule getting the nod, and Vlahovic up top. So, Max following up with Gatti again. I didn't have any problems with it. We didn't have any problems with it. Is what it is. And then Sule getting the shout. Interesting. But again, obviously
No option.
Chiesa, after what went down in that game, that's probably the only thing that kind of marred the victory. But it shows you why he's not getting more minutes. But this lineup, I had no issues with it. DeCilio was one that a lot of fans seem to be clinging on as to why. But I said basically to try and neutralize DiMarco, which I actually thought he did a really good job of, because DiMarco wasn't really a factor for Inter, and you can't really say that this season. So I had no problems with the lineup. And you guys, we kind of went over it. That is what it is for lineup. We just needed Sule to do his part.
It was everything we expected, and nothing went down that side. Everything was essentially going on Kostic's side, so our left, their right. That's right. So, but hey, Sule, I know we're going to get into it, but again, Max got the lineup right. 100% correct.
There you go. Omer, anything to add to that on the lineup?
No, that's just what we had, basically.
Good to roll. Di Maria, Chiesa, obviously not starting, but that's okay. So let's get to the highlights. Let's rip through this because we got to just keep getting into it. And obviously the handballs, the controversy and everything. But a couple minutes in, and Barella getting a hit from range, which was parried away easily by Szczesny, who I actually thought was strong in this one when he had to be and everything. So good
I
on.
would say that this, because Tech's not going to be our man of the match because we already know that, but this was probably the most I've seen Tech own his area in a game.
That's actually a good shout because I felt that. I actually did feel that.
Anything
Omer, would you agree with that?
His.
Yeah, I can credit that to him. I mean, our guys in the air were just massive. They were first to everything. One Lukaku header that went off, by a mile. Besides that, they dominated, and I will credit it to Tech.
Yeah. Even Lucci agreeing with you, Anth. I'm sure that makes you feel really good now. Because Lucci, we got to make sure Lucci agrees with us, right?
Lucci and I are on a streak.
I got to give him the gears this morning.
Now, on a streak, so we're good.
So we get that one parried away. Good shout on Tech, really owning his area there. Okay, now when you get to 17th minute, this was a nice one too. Credit where it's due there by Barella and Lukaku. And this one was stopped by Tech as well. Shot pretty much right at him, whatnot, but still he did well in getting the rebound away from the area. So that was the big part of that one. Not necessarily the fact that he stopped it, but he gave them nothing to have to deal with. His defenders didn't have to deal with anything, and Inter didn't have another opportunity to strike. It simply just got parried away, which was great.
Was that basically their best chance?
That was
probably it.
That was their only big chance created, was that opportunity.
That was it.
Yeah. So other than that, they had no big chances created. Obviously, they had more opportunities and whatnot, but that was their only big chance created.
Yep.
22nd. So this is obviously fantastic. So the counter. Led by Rabiot and Vlahovic. Ball comes down, obviously, lobbying for handball. Then on the follow-through with Vlahovic, you can see Barella lobbying. But Barella lobbies for everything, so it is what it is. It plays on. Rabiot cuts in, actually stops, finds Kostic. Dumfries had dropped way too far back. By the time another defender has come in here, Kostic has picked his spot, and he threads it beautifully. Onana left standing, doing his best Handanovic impersonation, and no chance. Juve's up 1-0. Hold on. Here we go. Now we get into it, okay? So we got a little bit of
our review ever.
Yes. Jeez. So now, Arbitro Nick coming in here, and he says this is nice and cut and dry. So there was major, obviously, controversy over Rabiot and Vlahovic handling the ball in the build-up. So a nice thing about this is he's going to give us the IFAB kind of parts of it too. So he says, based on the image the IFAB provides for what part of the arm is considered an offense or not, it looks like the contact of the ball on the arm is right in between. This is on Rabiot, by the way. So he's talking about Rabiot. That it even appears to be right in between. Let's say he did contact that, okay? Because that's still in question, okay? For me, if you look at the side angle on the trajectory, it doesn't change whatsoever. But let's say he touched it, it's still in between of what they deem fine and not fine. So it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
right? The other thing I think nobody's really factoring, he's moving his arm away from the ball, which is a huge part of the whole thing as well. Because ball to hand is different than hand to ball. And he's actually physically moving his arm away. Now, he continues on, all right? The contact doesn't really help Rabiot control the ball, which can be a factor in favor.
Mm-hmm.
He believes this could easily have been whistled a handball if that's what Kifi saw, the referee. The conversation between VAR and the ref is critical here because, again, there are a couple scenarios and he goes through it. One, if Kifi tells VAR that he saw the contact and decided on the field that it hit the part which is not an offense, in that case, it does not result in a clear and obvious error, which is the only thing VAR is
Mm-hmm.
there to do, basically. Okay? So, again, what the
And he was right
referee.
there. He was right there
Yeah,
looking at it.
and what the referee deems his call on the pitch is still going to trump everything unless they can clearly define. And that's what I was saying
Okay.
on the call, too. On the live watch along, everybody was saying, this is taking way too long. I don't like this. And I said, well, here's the thing. The fact that it's taking longer is actually good for Juventus because it means they can't find that it's a mistake clearly and definitively, right? So,
Yeah, it was exactly that. I mean, I got nervous at the beginning, but the longer it went, the safer I felt, more
exactly.
confident.
Yeah, and the second case that he says is Keefe tells VAR he didn't see any potential handball. In this scenario, VAR can intervene a little bit more easily. The ball did hit. So according to Nick, he says the ball did hit Rabiot's arm, and he's calling it supportable. What the referee sees on the field still remains the most powerful component in football. So some argue that was a clear and obvious error, and there are certainly legitimate arguments for it. This play is once again that heartbreak in football where you put several referees in one room and everyone will have a different opinion. It would have been supportable in the end. This was deemed a handball, but letting play go on is also supportable. That's just the Rabiot section, okay? Now we get to Vlahovic, and this one's much shorter, and he says, again, you see the ball touch Vlahovic's arm as he is trying to control the ball. This one is clear. On the bicep, it makes contact because you even see the kit lift up on his sleeve. Now, he says, Vlahovic first tries to control the ball with his leg and then his chest or the stomach area, whatnot, before it hits his bicep. His arm is also certainly in a natural position. However, the ball does start to go away from him and the arm does bring the ball back the other way. The natural position of the arm and the clear effort by Vlahovic to control the ball with his leg and chest does not make this a handball. This is once again a decision Keefe has to make on the field, not Mazzoleni on the VAR. So there you have it. That's pretty clear. For me, it doesn't have to be this big of a controversy because
Oh, but it
ultimately,
will be.
oh, of course it will be. And the tears will continue. And I love it. And I love it. But hey, that's pretty clear that we're absolutely fine with this moving on. And am I biased? Yes, 100%.
100%.
Do I care
100%.
even if it were a handball? Absolutely not.
Yep.
There.
Yep.
There, Inter. All
100%.
right. So there you go. Bikramjeet, 100% correct decision. Let's go.
Look into
Let's
me.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
is what it is. And we move on. 1-0 lead for Juve.
Now, I
28th
will
minute.
say, sorry, 1 second on that goal. Inter fans, when they were getting into it, they were all dumping on Dumfries because he was no idea where he was standing. He was just he was just a wall in front of his
He dropped
keeper.
off way too deep. Way too deep.
Yep.
He's like
Yeah.
practically standing right in front of Onana there. Like he's not doing anything on the play.
And then after
Yeah.
Rabiot controlled it and Vlahovic controlled it, they still had 4 or 5 tackles that they could have made. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. How
Yeah,
many
I gotta
times
say,
have
I
we had a
was
call go
pretty
against
shocked.
us? Yeah.
What's that,
Yeah,
Omer?
I gotta say, I was pretty shocked it wasn't called back. You know, at first viewing,
Mm-hmm.
when they stopped and reviewed it, I was shocked they didn't call it back. I mean, if a referee wanted to, he had good reasons to call
Mm-hmm.
it back, but he didn't. On Dumfries, I mean, yeah, he dropped too deep, and I think he blocked Onana's vision. I don't think Onana have seen the ball until it was too late. But that finish by Kostic, low driven shot to the far
Beautiful.
post. I mean, even if Onana sees it, I'm not sure he's stopping it. That's class.
Oh yeah. No, that was
Tech would have
everything
saved it.
about it was beautiful, and the fact the counter winning the ball in the midfield. Our midfield was tremendous
Lights
yesterday.
out.
Okay,
Yeah.
Fagioli, Rabiot, Locatelli, all three of them had an absolute game. We get to the 28th minute. Kostic crosses this one into Sule, and oh man, going a little bit behind him. He couldn't direct it on goal.
Who's
He's going to
behind him?
want that one back. He had another opportunity. You've got to hit the ball in the first half where it falls to him in the area. And oh man, he tries to thread the needle on a pass across, laid off, and it gets
Shoot the
intercepted. And
ball,
I'm
kid.
thinking, you have got to have a hit there. But ultimately, I have absolutely no issues with what Sule did in that game. But those are moments again where we continue to tally these up on Juve needing to be much more clinical and
Mm-hmm.
putting teams to the sword, because we should have put Inter to the sword yesterday, because for all their possession we were the more dangerous side throughout
Mm-hmm.
that game in its
It's
entirety.
true.
That's how it felt. That's how it felt. That was a game I didn't mind the style we were playing, because we were still way more likely to score throughout that game than Inter was.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of that Barella opportunity, and other than that, one header where our coverage got mixed up and Danilo ended up being on Lukaku rather than Bremer, and Lukaku
Yeah.
got the header going back post. Other than that, and that was in the second half. Other than that, we basically shut them down, neutralized them very well. Okay, and again, you talk about Max's lineups.
No,
DeShilio on
that
Demarco,
header
great.
was in the first half. They were both in the first half.
Lukaku's was in the first half.
Yeah.
So Lukaku's was in the first half. You're right,
Mm-hmm.
and that was only because the coverage got mixed up. But we'll get to half here.
Mm-hmm.
Sule on a couple moments he wanted to do better, but overall that first half, loved it. Gatti gets a yellow card in the first half, and he's playing a very aggressive game. Gatti had a strong game. There were some shouts on the watch along. Get him out at halftime. I said absolutely not. I would not mess with anything right now, and even if he's on a yellow. These are moments where you grow, and my God, man, Gatti was just so strong. But would you have made any changes at half? Well, that's all we're going to stick to at half before we get to full time. Any changes at half? Did you feel any concern about Gatti being on that yellow in this game?
No, I even
No.
felt that the yellow was harsh. I mean, that was a clean
Yeah,
tackle. I get that he did it to, calm things down because it was getting a bit too aggressive on both sides. Just a shame it was on Gatti because that tackle was beautiful. It was clean. He got only the ball, but it is what it is. He didn't get the red, so in hindsight, no issues.
yeah,
Yeah. So it was cagey through the first 14, and I thought the ref was being a little whistle happy. Sort of, he was calling everything at the beginning, and then the second portion of the first half, he was letting them go. I thought he did a good job. I didn't feel there was any reds coming in that game. I thought he was going to handle it with yellows. It just had that feeling like he
Well,
knows
we
what the game
we
is.
had two.
so
But
Yeah,
at the end, you know what I mean? During the
yeah,
game, during the
yeah.
run of play, I didn't think he was going to let. You just didn't get that feeling that someone was going to. You get a feeling someone's getting sent off in this game. I didn't get that game.
I thought this
yeah.
ref was like, if it was, I thought he was okay in the first half, but he got like it started to get away from him. Like he started to
Mm-hmm.
lose that consistency. In the second half, he had zero consistency whatsoever. It was so lopsided and one-sided in the second half that he lost all consistency, and for me, marred his whole game. If we are gonna look at it, L'Arbitro Nick says his thoughts on Kifi. I didn't watch he didn't watch the game live, but he watched it on replay, and he says what he saw afterwards. Because sometimes the emotion, even him, if he's trying to judge refs or whatnot in the heat of the moment, it's hard for him. But he said watching it on replay, he had an average game. This come from Nick. He says the Derby d'Italia is perhaps the most difficult game to referee, and
Mm-hmm.
overall he had control within reason. Nick says it,
Mm-hmm.
and that I guess you could kind of say, looking back, I guess he to some degree he had control, but towards the end, he definitely lost it because there was no need for what happened at the very end. We'll get to that.
Oh, we'll
But he
get to
said he
that.
seemed inconsistent with some fouls and cards, which likely were given for game management purposes rather than actually being 100% deserved. And that definitely would put Gatti into that category there that Nick describes perfectly. And he says sometimes that does need to happen, but it did seem that Keefe put himself in that situation by not being consistent, putting himself in a situation where now all of a sudden you're getting cards. So again, great stuff from
So
Nick. Love getting his insight on the refereeing and whatnot. But let's get to the second half. But
this
Ant,
this
what
is
do you want to touch
this is
on?
a good part for this one stat. I know it's a post game stat, but total fouls. Inter had 18 and Juventus had 6. Like it can't be like that, right? You got to sort of keep it somewhat even. And the one that the I would say the biggest one he missed, and we'll get to the one at the end of the game. That's some
Yeah,
completely different. Fajoli broke away, and Latauer clipped his heels. That's a yellow card, and he
yeah,
didn't give it. So that was one. It's like, come on, man. If you're gonna give the one on
I
Gatti, that
know.
one is blatant. That's the one.
That's only
So
one example too. Like
yeah,
the problem for me is that you're calling everything through the back. We had
hmm
3 instances back to back to back that were challenges from behind as we're trying to just hold possession, and we didn't get the call. And that was up on the byline, our left flank through Kostic and Rabiot. No
hmm
calls on 3 in a row. Comes back down our pitch, and the softest foul, I'm telling you, gets called. Free kick for Inter, and Danilo goes off. And rightfully so.
hmm
Rightfully
hmm
so, because that's just garbage. So he was definitely losing the mark there towards the end, but is what
but
it
we
is.
digress.
Second half, 59th minute. Sule drops it, one for Locatelli on a trailing run. He smashes it, unfortunately, right at Onana, but Juve continuing to at least get opportunities off their moments. We get a little bit further ahead. Rabiot drives across, that ends up falling for Kostic, and he hits it. It deflects and goes over the head of D'Ambrosio and just misses the actual target. That would have been in for a second one, sealed it. 77th minute, you got Vlahovic running at Inter's defense, plays it over for Chiesa, who has a cross for Luca and fingertips from Onana to kind of stop
hmm
that one from getting tapped in there. 85th minute, Inter trying to put a lot of pressure on Juve. This ball falls for Mkhitaryan. He has a shot. It goes wide and high, and wide, and then 93rd +3, Mkhitaryan has a volley that goes high. That's probably as close as they were coming. And
Before we get to the end of the game, there was another one where it was a 3-on-2 or 2-on-2 break, and Kostic switched it. Vlahovic was wide ass open at the back
yeah,
post, and Darmian slid
there's
and
another one though
blocked
where
it.
Vlahovic doesn't even see Fagioli running. Okay,
Yes,
Fagioli's
Yeah.
wide open on the right side. And hey, how did he
Sule or
score that first
Fajoli?
one wide open on the right side first time we
Fajoli.
played Inter?
Was it Fajoli?
Got to see that. But
Yeah.
again, this is my only
hmm
criticism. Juve moving forward is dialing it in and becoming more clinical moving forward. And we're going to have to be in Europe, in my opinion. But
hmm
nonetheless, we get through at the very end the shithousery. Okay, so and we have to talk about it. Chiesa come in, felt discomfort, immediately had to go out. We
hmm
get a report from Romeo Gresti. I think we're still waiting for more reports, whatnot, but he just says lingering tendonitis or whatnot. But the Max's words were interesting because he says Chiesa's nervous. So
hmm
that plays into the psyche of a player that went through a big
Told you.
injury and now is super cautious. So it's not just training staff, it's not just coach. Like Chiesa himself is nervous, according to Max, and they're not taking any chances, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. But outside of that, the melee at the end, this is just shithousery at its best. Paredes, if there's any contribution he adds, is the shithousery, kicking through Tonali's feet. And then in this one, getting into it, D'Ambrosio, they both see red. But again, a situation that could easily be avoided. The ref's given so much more. I know that we had a player down for a little period. It might have been Locatelli. I can't remember 100%. And he added some time to the 5 minutes we had. But he let it go to almost 7 minutes. And he did the same thing in the first half. and you could see what's going on. You don't need to put the
Mhm.
players in a situation where they're hacking at each other's ankles in a corner of a game that's done for an extra minute and a half. You're an idiot. So, anyways, that whole melee is from Keefe again doing a poor job, in my opinion, of managing the second half of this football game. Guys, your
No,
thoughts
I
on that
put that
melee and
I put
everything?
that on I put that on the main account. So we won. I think it was three throw-ins. So it was definitely the second one. It's like I was actually yelling at the TV, just blow the whistle, because he threw it right. Quadrado threw it right into the corner to Vlahovic, who's just getting manhandled. I don't know if that was DeVries back there, or whoever that was, but that throw-in should not have happened. He should have walked up, blown the whistle, taken the ball, and then sent the players on their way. Totally on the referee there,
Yeah, absolutely,
one hundred
absolutely.
percent.
Now, what's interesting about all this? We got to play these guys in a couple weeks in the Coppa
Yeah, we got to
Italia,
play
and
him
that
two
is
more
going to
times.
be
Yeah.
again barn burner whatnot.
Hmm.
But Juventus getting the job done. We head into the break, got the big win. Okay, 1-0 against Inter. Absolutely love it. Okay, absolutely love it. There you go. And now we can talk about, and good luck, because I had to really sit there and think about this for man of the match, because you have options. We're gonna give you a few, okay? We'll give you a
Hmm.
few, and we'll see how everybody's feeling out there. But yeah, there's some options. There's some options. Let's kick it off with Locatelli. Locatelli put in an absolute shift. So 90
Unit.
minutes, 46 touches, 87% pass accuracy, one shot on target, 3 for 5 on ground duels, one clearances, 6, some of them crucial, two
Hmm.
block shots, one of them being big, couple tackles, absolute unit for Locatelli. We're gonna get back. Obviously, we'll
It
get.
always felt those clearances. It always felt whenever a ball wasn't cleared, like a header from a switch in, and it fell in the box. It always seemed like number five was there to send it out or carry it away. He was
Yeah.
always there.
Now we're gonna keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Kostic here. And of course, you get, oh, my bad. You get, of course, the Inzaghi tears there. But Kostic, 90 minutes, one goal, the deciding goal, 48 touches, 81% pass accuracy, one key pass, 3 for 7 ground duels, 1 3 clearances, 2 interceptions, 2 tackles. An absolute Serbian machine, all right, having a
Unit.
great game and the game winner. So Kostic will bring you his up. And now, of course, Bremer. Bremer was a beast, okay? And he was going at it,
Yeah.
and Lukaku was putting everything he had into him. And there was a couple moments Bremer didn't even budge, all right? Let's go 90 minutes, 10 clearances, one block shot, one interception, dribbled past 0 times, 28 touches, 93% pass accuracy and moving the ball, and 1 for 1 on long ball attempts. Absolute
100%.
beast. Absolute beast in this one. Loved watching him go at it with Lukaku. And of course, we had them get in each other's face a couple times. That's going to get spicy in the Coppa Italia. Make no mistake about it. So that was huge from Bremer. And then, of course, gotta show some love to Gatti, who had a great shift as well. 90 minutes, 6 clearances, block shot, 3 interceptions, 3 tackles, 4 for 7 on ground duels. Just continuing on from the great match in Germany. Guys, who is your pick for man of the, is it outside of this, because Fagioli was getting some shouts as well and whatnot. So
Hmm.
who is your choice? Let's kick this one off with Omer.
With me? No, I want to
Yes.
go second because mine is gonna probably create a little discussion. So, and go first.
Yeah. So, man, I thought I had it picked until you shown the numbers. And I'm remembering the game. Um, okay, the two guys like one A and like one AA. I I got to go with Locatelli just by looking at his jersey. Like it was, you could tell that that guy was in the Derby d'Italia. Like he was in it every minute of it, right? So, geez, there was another guy there. I hope somebody picks him, but I'm gonna go with Locatelli on this one.
Locatelli.
Mm,
Yeah, Kostic and his goal and everything, game winner, and again, just able to put 90 minutes together over and over and over. But I got to go with Locatelli. Locatelli was my man of the match in that one. And again, I just want to point out that he was labeled a flop by many. He's just, man, he is just climbing that ladder like over and over and over, one rung at a time, getting better and better and better. I've been saying this nonstop. This guy is crucial for us, okay? He is the glue in that midfield. He led a couple of odd man rushes the opposite direction just from tackles in the center of the
Massive tackles.
pitch, man. And his tackles have been like he's been an absolute animal on 50-50s. And it continued on yesterday. Now we get to Omar's
I just want
man
to
of the
say,
match.
for the record, I said pregame that Kostic Dumfries matchup was what I would be watching, and Kostic proved me right.
Yeah.
Love that kid.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Omer.
Yes. So obviously you can pick like, I don't know, at least 5, 6 guys from the lineup who have a good claim for man of the match. And sometimes when that's the case, you gotta look beyond that. And I gotta give man of the match to Allegri, who got everything right, got Inter's tactics right, lured them in, lured them to give us acres of space behind, took advantage of their slow defense and missing Bastoni and Skriniar there. And missing Brozovic wasn't on his game. The Brozio came out from injury. That's why the Shinu maybe had even an easier game. And when everything is clicking, I mean, and you can pick like 7 different guys, I gotta give it to Allegri on this one. I gave it to him last year in the match against Chelsea where we won 1-0, which was again you couldn't pick anyone specific, but we did win. So I gotta give it to him today. I
There you
mean, with
go.
all the criticism we gave him, he deserves it for that match. He got everything right, and that's what got us the win.
And I will say also, Rabiot is a serious contender in this one for man of the match. Fagioli is
Absolutely.
mentioned as well. Our midfield was a force, okay? So our midfield did incredible work. Those guys need some love too. And there are quite a few in the live chat that actually picked Fagioli as their man of the match, and he had a game. And when you look at the ratings too, they're all very close. I think it was sevens across the board for the midfield: Rabiot, Locatelli, and Fagioli. And Kostic ends up getting man of the match on most media outlets, and he had a score of around 7-2, and that's with a goal, probably getting the edge because of the goal and the decider. But the midfield itself was tremendous. Now we're going to get to some of the fun stuff, all of course in the aftermath and whatnot. Going to remind everybody, like the video. Okay, we got 60 here in the live chat. Let's get at least up to 60, so smash that like button if you're new here. Subscribe to the channel. Okay, so Omar, with talking about Max Allegri and giving Allegri the man of the match and whatnot, absolutely loved his words after. Okay, especially when asked about the controversy, this answer was amazing. Simply that, essentially getting upset and saying, "Don't make me upset," when asked about the Rabiot handball, because he goes, when Salernitana debacle happened, you guys didn't ask anything about that. He's like, so ask better questions. I absolutely love him coming out and just calling it how it is. He further on continued that, you know what? We didn't complain at Juventus. We dealt with it like gentlemen and moved forward. And he again, a little dig at everybody else and all these goddamn chihuahuas. All right, I
well,
absolutely loved it.
he brought up another example where when we played Inter last year, the cameras didn't work. He's like, you didn't see us complaining about that. So
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, yeah, it was just, it's good. I like, again, we've been given lately credit to Max, rightfully so, for how he's dealt with everything that's coming in. I'm not so sure another coach does anywhere near as good after what's gone down with the point deduction and everything. So honestly, credit to him, but he continues right now to say the right things, and I think it's helping spark everything you're seeing in the players. Adrian Rabiot having his uno di noi moment, of course, clapping in front of the Inter fans and
amazing.
giving them the gears after the loss. Hey, stick it to my veins, man. Love
Amazing.
that shit. Love that shit. Even Sweet Lou from our team had to give Rabio some love for that one, okay?
A little bit of
Absolutely
love.
love it. Uno di noi moment for Rabio. This game was filled with beautiful moments for Juventus. Now, talked
What a
a bit
derby.
about Maxer and just going stone
Mhm.
cold with his answers and everything, and continues to set that tone for us going into a big April. We know we go into international break right now. The good, if there is good news about what happened to Chiesa, this is probably keeping him away from the Azzurri side. Locatelli
Mhm.
not selected for the Azzurri side. He even spoke to that, saying that, hey, yeah, I'm upset about it, but is what is. Shocking that he wouldn't be or whatnot, but I'm okay with our guys not going, to
100%
be
okay.
honest.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. In the March international break, I wish no one would go. I'm actually very angry that Bremer has to go now because Marquinhos is injured because he
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to go. And even Chiesa's small injury may save us for because Mancini would play him and he would start
Mhm.
him for 60 minutes, and I don't want that. He
Yeah.
now has a chance. Everyone has a chance to regroup and gather their fitness and rest a bit for 2 weeks. And I absolutely hate it if we get another injury now, considering our recent trajectory, and in a goddamn international break that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
Is this the Nations League semifinal? Is this what it
I
is?
have no
Is this the
idea.
name?
They play like a million of those a season. I have no idea even what they're playing for. If you ask me, they should postpone all this stuff to the end of the season after the leagues are done and have like sort of a mini tournament of qualifiers. It has no business in the middle of the season, especially in March. I mean,
Oh
because
man.
who gets the shit because of that? The big teams who have all their players going to their national duties. Then you go back and you play against Verona, who rested for 2 weeks
They have
because all their players are shit,
it's not
and
Nations
you
League. They're
lose.
playing Euro qualifiers. So they got Euro qualifiers.
Or qualifiers, Omer. That was a beautiful old man rant. I could not have ranted any better than that. So
Yeah,
proud of you,
that
Omer.
Oh,
was a
I'm
good
holding back. I'm
good
holding
old
back.
man rant.
I know you are.
Anta had a good one the other day too, but it's Euro qualifiers. But again, for us, man, April's gonna be big. We need all our guys fit. We know
Gotta
that
be
we
fit.
got Sandro Milik coming back. Miretti will be in the fold. He was kept out of the team list yesterday.
Keen.
Fingers crossed on Chiesa. Okay, but is what it is. We just got to get fit and go through this clutch month. April's going to be crazy. 9 games slated in April. That's intense. That's intense. Now,
I don't know if we want to move too far past the game because I think there's a couple players that we still need to talk about in that
oh,
game.
I'm
There's,
getting there. I'm getting there.
are we? Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because in keeping with April and the 9 games and
Hmm.
everything, now Gatti is a guy I wanted to talk about because
There's
does
one.
he take away minutes from Sandro when Sandro returns based on what he's been doing right now?
I think he should, but I also think we shouldn't be, too trigger happy with him. It's 2 games, 2 great games. Easy, integrate him. We've learned recently that when you throw players into the mix and they're not ready or they're having one bad showing, it affects them, especially the young guys. It's his first season. I mean, he was fantastic. Everything that keeps Bonucci out of the lineup, I'm fine with. But rotation, we need all those guys available, and we don't need them to drop, in the mental aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gatti's. I can't. I don't remember how many games he's actually played, but I don't remember a bad game from him.
He's at
Oh, he had.
620-ish
Did he
minutes
have
Oh, he
one?
now
had.
total.
Yeah.
Um,
Against Monza. The first
there's
game
been
against
some
Monza was awful.
questionable
There's one. That's right.
questionable games in there, but it was
But he's
nothing.
big in the big games.
It was nothing
He's
really
good in the big
doom and
games.
gloom though. Like even if you
Yeah.
look at his off performances, it was nothing like okay, we can't use this guy. It was never to that level.
Hmm.
It just showed that it is what it is. He's green to Serie A and whatnot, but I tell you, these last 2 performances, incredible. That clearance he made on the low hard cross, that gave me chills, his celebration, because that was like taking me back to the heyday, man. When he gets up immediately and he's fired up and everybody else feels that energy, that was just a thing of be like, I
To
celebrated that almost like I celebrated the goal All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
to Luca's
love
point,
that.
everybody was not good in the Monza game, so that's a pass for me. But that clearance there, if you notice, he checked his shoulder 3 times to see where Lukaku was. There was no way Lukaku was getting to that ball. So that's something that we were missing in the Sampdoria game when we fell asleep and they scored 2 goals. Guys not checking over their shoulders, and
Bonucci,
it's it.
not checking over.
So there you go.
The
But no issues with Gatti for me the past 2 games.
Yeah,
Zero.
the one thing that we have to factor in this about how Max is going to play it out and how Max is going to do is that
Mm-hmm.
Danilo has openly come out and said that he doesn't prefer the left side. And when Gatti's out there, Danilo has to go to the left side. When Sandro's out there, it puts Danilo in his more comfortable spot. And that's something that Max probably would cater to. But
Yeah.
again, that's just my method of thinking. So people might blow their tops when Sandro comes in, he's immediately back in it. But if you're looking at it from Max's standpoint, it puts Danilo where he's more comfortable, and now you have two guys in their comfort zone, Sandro left, Danilo right, as opposed to one in their comfort zone in Gatti. So it's something that, again, we don't need to lose or flip our wigs over when it happens, but I think Gatti
Yeah.
has earned the right for more minutes. But will it be
Yeah.
consistent? Will he be the main go? I don't know about that one, just in terms of, again, keeping guys in their preferred spots.
Yeah. I
Homer?
I think Gatti has everything to be good. He needs experience. He needs minutes. He has the physicality. He has the height, the tackling, the enthusiasm. I mean, he plays like an old defender. He just came from Serie B. I mean, for God's sakes, give him time to adjust. With Sandro, I believe it will mostly depend on the opponent. I mean, I will pose you a question. When we play Sporting, they have I can't remember his name, but their guy on the right is one of the fastest players I have ever seen. Who would you like there, Sandro or Danilo? That's a question for Max. He
Yeah,
has to choose, so we can shift it depending on the opponents we have and where their main threat is, which is a good. It's a good thing to have that in our arsenal going into matches.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, it is. And again, the more players we have being better, performing better, this is not a thing where we have to have one set like little just lineup and this is it. It's like you also do have to play that chess game with your opponents. And
Always.
again, if we start going down the line here, these past set of matches, we've been playing the best we have in a long time, and Max has gotten everything right. And when we have struggled, whatever, it's the same issue, and that's being clinical in front of goal. And that is not a new problem. That is not a new problem. And different set of players, but same thing. That's the last hurdle for this Juve to get over. But Sule, let's talk about Sule. A lot of
There's
talk
the
in the
second
chat
one.
about Sule and his performance.
Mm-hmm.
Again, couple of moments there where yes, he's definitely going to regret not firing on one and miss hitting on another. And but ultimately, it's a youngster getting a start in a Derby d'Italia. And overall, did he hurt us any? Absolutely not. I can't say he hurt us any whatsoever. He played a role, he played a part, and he did a good job. And he was trying his best. This is where I'll give Inter credit because you could see Max wanted to use that role to kind of slow down whoever, most likely Brozovic. Brozovic wasn't set to start and end up starting in that one.
Mm-hmm.
But where I give Inter credit is the fact that they did so well at rotating all three of their midfielders to switch who became that quarterback. And Sule ended up not being on the guy that they would use, or if he stayed on and Barella would drop. Then you had Chalanoglu dropping, whatnot. They did so good at interchanging there that we couldn't necessarily completely rule out that guy because it was constantly changing. But Sule did everything he was asked, and he did a good job, and he played a part. And like I said, he didn't hurt us. I had no problem with his performance. If I had to give him a rating, it'd be somewhere around 6.5, to be honest, a half point up from where they start. Your guys' thoughts on Sule?
Omer?
I think it was good. I think you have to consider that he's a youngster, and that's what you get with
Mm-hmm.
youngsters when they suddenly play against Inter away in a packed Derby d'Italia, and we're supposedly competing for the same spots. That's a lot to bear, and that's his first time, in this big of an arena and match, and he did fine. I mean, next time he learned to shoot it. We saw the same problems with Miretti early on against PSG when these young guys suddenly find themselves inside the area with acres of space and they have to make a quick decision. They're not always, money on the spot to take that shot. They're sometimes looking for the other more experienced guys. It's fine. They're youngsters. It happens everywhere. They learn from it. I think he did well because the midfield behind him was working nonstop and giving him all
Hmm.
the support he needed defensively. He sort of marked Brozovic out of the game. Having said that, if Di Maria was there with that amount of space behind Inter's midfield, I mean, we would have had three before halftime.
Hmm.
That was a game for a playmaker in the center to make everything he wanted out of it. And Sule is young. I'm glad we won. I'm glad he went through that and he learned from it. But overall, he had a decent showing. Nothing bad to say about him. Just take the shot, kid. Next time, take the shot.
Yeah, there was, I think it was pretty early on. He was pinching a little high, and the ball got behind him, and Brozovic, took it for 65 yards all the way almost to our final third. That was probably his only major mistake, and you could see him, like, he knew right away. He got spun and he was chasing him back, but he turns 20 on April 15th. I just checked, so he's still 19. Like, for everything that was going on, and Omer, all great points. Just a kid. He's still just a kid. Got to eat some more panini. Threw him out there in the our biggest match of the year so far, probably, and it was good. He 60 minutes. The kid went 60 minutes toe to toe against men. He was a boy playing against men yesterday, and I thought he was up for the task. He
Yeah.
Is he going to earn more minutes over Di Maria for me? No, but you know, future is bright. I thought it was same with Omer. I thought it was a
And no
good
fear in
showing.
deploying him again when need be. And that's ultimately what it
Correct.
comes down to. Is just
Yeah,
Hmm.
not being able
absolutely.
to, like, not having any fear in releasing him when you have to.
Yep.
Obviously, comments in here about the midfield and what we're going to end up doing versus Verona and whatnot. Um,
Nothing. Same.
it is what it is. Barnechea end up playing without a problem. Now we got comments about Rabiot, and Rabiot has become the king of our midfield. Who will play instead of Rabiot against Verona? Obviously, with Rabiot now going to be off for that one. Barnechea, Locatelli, and Fagioli can get the job done.
Hmm.
If you wanted to, you could also go. I would have no fear in going Miretti because he'll be back too and he'll be fit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You could go Miretti and Fagioli on both sides of Locatelli if you really wanted to, but Barnechea, Locatelli, Fagioli probably gives you better balance. So I'd probably go that route. But guys, what do you think? Same thing?
Yeah, if Miretti is back, I will probably go Lucatelli, Miretti, and Fagioli, but I have no problem deploying Enzo there. The only problem is that Lucatelli is doing so well as defensive midfielder that I almost don't want to push him forward to the Mitsala role.
Yeah,
But Berenechea is the only can play as a what's the name? A central midfielder, defensive central midfielder.
yeah.
So either way, it's Verona. I'm glad that those suspensions happened against them, and we don't have like a Lazio or something coming up. So good reason to test the youngsters together.
Yeah, absolutely. Anth, anything to add?
My only thing is how many minutes does Vlahovic get after this? Because this team is going to go as well as Di Maria goes, but we need Vlahovic to fire, and we still need him to get that monkey off his back. Like, he needed one yesterday. I felt, Milik's back. Keane is back
Back, yeah, yeah, he's
when we
back.
Yeah.
start. So, this international break, while it's good, I think for a lot of guys to get rest and that. Uh, God, I hope no one gets injured over the break.
Look, and with Vlahovic too, I mean, we can talk about that a little bit. We got a little bit of time before we get to Storm the Barn. Jeremiah, I've flagged your Storm the Barn question. There's no need to keep firing it away. Okay, it's good. I've got you, brother. Now, in terms of Vlahovic, does he need those goals to necessarily quote unquote be going, or do you feel that he's more like yesterday? I felt he was more on his toes and more in tune to that game and really switched on regardless of not getting an opportunity to really fall for him or whatnot. There was a cross in from Fagioli after he was sent up the right flank that Kostic
Mm-hmm.
almost got to. Vlahovic almost followed that one in and probably would have banged it home. Dumfries did do well to intervene there, but I feel like even without the goals, I'm starting to see more and more out of him each game and like really dialing things up. What do you guys think about that? Like, does he have to have these goals to necessarily be in there? And he is at least taking a lot of attention.
That's a good point because
Yeah,
that was probably his best game without a goal.
Yeah.
Now that you think about it, he did all great work, and he was getting abused on some of those balls coming in. I'd like to see the style how many fouls he drew because I think it's zero. I don't think he
Hmm.
got any calls.
Lorenzo brings
yeah,
up a good point
but
though
it should have
because
gotten.
he says
Mhm.
yes, he does need the goals because it's consuming him and makes him miss passes like the one to Fagioli where he didn't see.
Yeah,
I'm not.
strikers are selfish though.
Yeah, like I mean, I feel like a lot of strikers
Non-strikers.
in that opportunity, top the area, running at the defenders are gonna
They're going to
try
shoot
and
it.
lock up a shot there.
Hmm.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. If he saw Fagioli, I would think he's feeding that one over there. But I think the second he gets that and they're backing off, he's thinking, I'm going to line one up.
And he's on
No,
his
you
left
saw.
foot.
Yeah.
No, you saw him. You saw him. He was angry with himself that he didn't pass it to Fajoli. I mean, he missed him. But that's what you teach your strikers to look for the goal whenever you have the chance, not look for other
But he
players.
was
So
angry not
it
because he didn't
happened.
pass to him, because he didn't see him. Because Fagioli yelled at him
Yeah.
after the play, and then he looks and puts his hands over his head. I don't think he saw him. Otherwise,
No,
I
not
would
because he
think,
saw him. He was angry with himself. He didn't see him, pass it to him,
yeah,
whatever. But
yeah,
he was apologizing. He was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't see you."
yeah,
But he did have a good game. It almost
yeah,
looks like it's our style of play, like it's directions from Allegri. Vlahovic, you pull these guys out of the center and then cross it to the far post. It almost looks like it because he's never on the right end of the crosses. Maybe it's a game plan. I mean, Benzema does it all the time. Just draws players out to make room for other guys to come in and draw the defenders out. But he
yeah,
did work his ass off in all of our recent games, and it will fall for him. I mean, it was very hard to find a good angle for a shot when you're the main lone striker, and he did play with Sule. I mean, these guys didn't play a whole lot together. If Di Maria was there, someone who can put a pass exactly where you want him to put it, it would have been. I believe he would have found a goal. But nevertheless, it's a win. They both did great, I believe, and it was a team effort. Sule and Vlahovic are part of the team effort. There's no denying that.
yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is that the effort's there. Everybody, it's time to get your Storm the Barn questions in, okay? So now's the time. Get your Storm the Barn questions in. I am going to kick one off.
Storm the bar, baby.
Storm the Barn, baby. Now, let's get to it. I'm going to ask
Hmm.
you guys a question. We hit stride earlier on in the season, right before the World Cup break, okay?
Hmm.
And now, obviously, we're on a good little run. Hit another break, international break now, Euro qualifiers. Does this break come at the perfect time, or do you wish there was no break and we keep moving on? What would you rather right now in this moment? Knowing everything we know, knowing Chiesa can get fit now, Mancini obviously keeping him away from national side, Milik Miretti coming back. Do you like the break, or would you rather us continue on through it?
Omer.
I would rather we continue with no break, push two of those games that we have in April into March to, give some more spacing. I mean, that's the reason we have 9 games in 1 month, which is not ideal at any level. So yeah, 100%. I mean, World Cup was first of all a longer break, a much longer break. Second of all, World Cup drains everything out of you. Fitness wise and mentality wise, it's different than just a regular qualifiers international break. So I just don't like it. I wish they postponed it till the end of the season.
There you go. Ant, what are your thoughts on the break?
I agree with Omar in the sense that it packs up our schedule for April. But in this instant, it couldn't come at a better time. Chiesa, Meretti, Sandro, Milik, right? Keane coming off suspension. Locatelli needs a break. Danilo, Kostic. Goddamn, I still think he does drugs because all these guys to give them. I know they may be going to their national teams. Kostic might be, but 2 week break, perfect time. Unfortunate that it packs up our April schedule, but couldn't come at a better time for us fitness wise.
Yeah, I mean, naturally when you're in rhythm and things are clicking, you just want to keep it rolling. But right now, we have the potential to come back being fully fit. But now even the rumors on Pogba suggest that potentially after the break, like we have the
Mm-hmm.
potential to come back fully fit for the
Mm-hmm.
first time this season. Period.
What is it?
Never happens.
April.
It never happens.
So like
No way. No
period,
way.
just
No.
fully fit. That's pretty big.
Hopefully.
So
Hopefully.
again, if we would have played through this, you factor in some suspensions, some guys that need a break or whatnot, and aren't going to be on international duty. This is actually probably one where I'm against the grain, where I actually like the break right now for Juventus, regardless of what it does in April. I usually don't like the breaks when a team's in rhythm, whatnot, but right now I think it's good for us. It's good for us. We're gonna keep Storm the Barn rolling. Okay,
What is it?
Jeremiah
10
was
wins, 10 wins, a draw, and a loss in our last 12.
yeah, yeah. And again, when you go to the
Not bad.
goals, like we're just behind Napoli by 3-4 goals, like total since
Mm-hmm.
2023. Like at the start of the year, it's crazy because it doesn't feel that way. But let's get to Storm Barn. Jeremiah, can we talk about Fagioli? Well, we
Sure.
have. Yeah, I mean, but sure. Ever
Want to
since the
talk
kid
more?
debuted back in October, we started turning things around. He's our X factor. Everybody else started playing better. Not a coincidence. So, again, this
Is
has
he
been
the
a
X
question.
factor?
This has been a something Jeremiah's brought up
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly on Fagioli. Hey, not taking anything away from Fagioli, but I'm not so sure it's X factor worthy. Okay, and that's not a knock to Fagioli, but what it does is make the midfield as a group balanced and make sense. Okay, the other guys playing well. Well, you can also see how it affects the others when Locatelli's not in there. It's different. It's different. They each affect each other in different ways. If you pull Rabio out of that, it affects
Mm-hmm.
them as well. They all bring something. It's about the balance in the midfield for me. I think it's too soon to call Fagioli like an X factor, but make no mistake about it. He's playing great football and he helps this
Mm-hmm.
team a lot. But that's my thoughts. It's more about the unit than it is the individuals for Juventus. Omar and
Omer?
As far as X factors go, I would probably give it to Bremer at the moment, which really makes a difference when he's there and not there. Fajoli is just something we didn't have for a long time. I mean, he's a
Mm-hmm.
modern midfielder. He has the engine, he has the technique, he has the vision, he has the hunger and the grinta. And we didn't have that. Every midfielder you go through that we had, I mean, Arthur, Bentancur, they all have parts of it, but not the whole package. So we were
McKenny?
kind of McKenny, whoever. I mean, we just didn't have that sort of complete guy that has all the traits and can even get better. So he kind of filled the spot that we were missing for a long time, and that spot enables the other guys around him to do better. I mean, even Quadrado looks better when he's playing because he helps him a lot on the right side. So, I mean, he was sort of a missing piece. I won't call it an X factor, but wonder how our season would have gone if we started him from the beginning of the season and not
yeah,
only since
Um,
October.
the exact same. We were a hot mess at the beginning of the year. I'm not going to add a perfect answer from Omer there. I agree with everything. X factor. I think Locatelli's that guy. I think more of the whole unit, the whole team falls apart when Locatelli's not in there. Bremer's a good show too, but for me, things don't look the same as a group when Locatelli's not there.
yeah.
But let's just be happy. I don't think anyone's gonna
This is a
disagree with
great. This is a great. Like, it's not
Yeah.
even a problem. Like, this is
wonderful
great that
problem.
we have multiple players on. But again, X factors. I think right now a little bit of a stretch there. And again, Omar brought up great points about the comparison and modern midfield and whatnot, and just helping everybody. But yeah, let's just be pumped that that's how it's working out right
So
now
excited
for
for this kid.
Fajoli and everybody, to be honest. But Bremer, Omar calls Bremer the X factor, and I would say it's tough to disagree on that one. Tough to disagree on that one. Keep the Storm the Barn questions coming in. We'll see how much time we can fit in here for them. Remo coming in here with these one. Based on the performance and results of the game, would you change anything or stick with the same game plan for the Coppa Italia match? So that's interesting. And will Milik be back for that game? Milik should be back in for those. And this is interesting. Do you keep everything the same when you play them again, or do you make some changes? I think other than personnel, which obviously, again, talking about Sule and not to knock him or anything, but if Di Maria is full go, Di Maria is starting that game for me,
100%.
without a doubt, right? So what do you guys think?
Yeah.
I think I've said it every show since January. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. 3-5-2 until the season's over. Do not change it. Everybody has played it in it. Everybody has essentially played in it with any combination of players. So everyone's comfortable with each other, no matter who we're slotting in. Just don't change a goddamn thing.
Inter got one big
just change the
chance
personnel.
created that whole game. We had them frustrated. They were settling for crosses into the area, and Bremer was chewing them up and spitting them right back out. There's nothing to change, I think. Like, you continue to fluster them and force them to find the breakthrough and whatnot. I'd like to see us control a bit more play. Maybe not like drop off so much in terms of possession. But again, if we're able to create that much, that dangerously, whatnot, that easily, maybe, just maybe, that same game plan is just fine. But Omar, what do you think?
I think it comes down to who will be available for Inter, because they were missing some of their key guys here, and the rest are just misfiring. But that defensive unit with Brozovic and Bastoni in it is completely different. So we'll have to wait and see. But as far as formation goes, keep it exactly the same. I mean, Di Maria for Sule, yeah, but keep it exactly the same. As far as our approach, do we fall back? Do we attack more? Do we try to control the ball? Depending on who's available for us and for them. So I don't have a clear answer yet. We have to wait and see after the international break. They could
Yeah,
also have a worse lineup than they had with more injuries.
Yeah.
And it's 2 games, it's 180 minutes. Being good for 180 minutes is harder than 90 minutes, and you kind of see more flaws over two-legged games than one-legged games. So Max will have to manage both games and not think about only one. The one at home would be super crucial, because we show that we can lock it down when we need to, and we need to keep that for the away game.
Well, we're gonna have we could have a completely different team too, or 4 different
Yeah.
players in there. So we're gonna have a
Yeah.
lot of players back.
Yeah.
Quick one on that. Oh, we'll get to this. Tech should sit in a second. Do away goals, are they still a thing in Coppa Italia? I think we should know that. I feel like we should know,
No,
because
I
it's
think
not in European football. But did they keep that for Coppa Italia?
no, I think they took it out. I think it lingered for one more year after they made that call, and then they canceled it. I think I
Okay.
don't hang on my words, but I think that's the case now.
Okay, if someone can check that, would be good. But when it comes to Tech and Padin, for me, Tech is not immune to the fact that if it's his turn to sit, he sits. Padin coming in, 1A, 1B,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Padin's
Pretty
played with
much.
everybody at the
I have
back.
no problems with goalkeeper. The goalkeeper discussion, like, for me,
Nope.
it's fine. Yesterday, though, I will say, and we all talked about it earlier on, you could see the difference in Tech and commanding the area and stuff like that. I need that like all the time, way more consistently. That's been my only kind of criticism of him, is just at times he doesn't seem like he controls the area. Yesterday, I need to see it like that
Owned it.
all the way through. That would be my only knock on him, but it's good stuff. Now, Luca comes in here. This one's for Tony. How much percentage does Max get yesterday? Up to 45%. Well, Omer made him the man of the match, Luca. And now you're asking this for Storm the
Yeah,
Barn?
I'm
Come
nuts.
on. The rest of the class is on page 52. Catch up, God damn it. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Anth, what percentage?
That's a big jump for Luca though. He was riding about 33% on average for Luca all year. Well, yeah, he got his tactics right. He got his personnel right. I would put more of that game on the players. The players were up for that game. They didn't. Okay, his tactics had them sort of sitting back and counterattacking, but there wasn't one. Even when Paredes came in, there wasn't one player in that field that wasn't ready to punch in a guy in the mouth who was wearing a black and blue jersey. Not a single one of them, and that's what you want to see in the derby.
Yeah. Well
Yeah, I
said.
mean, as far as
Well
derbies
said.
go, that was a classic derby
Mm-hmm.
with the right intensity, the right aggression. I mean, we saw in a few years back. I mean, it wasn't there. Just the commitment that Juve had yesterday was missing for a long time. And obviously, the stats speak to it of how we approach big games and the amount of big games we lost. If we play with this attitude in every big game, I mean, it can go either way no matter who the team is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, who is your favorite player this season? Anthony, who's your favorite player this season?
Uh, as a youngster, born and bred as a center back, it's hard for me. And then in later years, you kind of grew into a striker. But it's in my blood, man. Bremer for me has been an absolute unit. Case had some bad games here and there, but for me, Danilo, man, he's had a good. But for me, it's been Bremer. I enjoy his whole game entirely. Love it. So for me, he's been my favorite player. I wouldn't say he's been our best player consistently, but he's been my favorite player.
There you go. So Bremer for Anth. Omer, who's
Mm-hmm.
your favorite player this season?
It's really hard to choose. I mean, the three
Mm-hmm.
guys that are up there are Bremer, obviously, even
Yeah.
four guys, then Danilo, and I would add Lucatelli and Kostic. I think if I narrow it down to two, it will probably be Danilo and Kostic, but I
Interesting.
think
Two.
Kostic edges it out for me. I mean, he's been exactly what we needed and what we expected from the stats prior to the season when
Exactly.
we all looked at what he can add to the team. He gave that and more. I mean,
Yeah.
he
Mm-hmm.
gave us something we were sorely missing, which is flank game through the flanks. We just didn't have it. So
Mm-hmm.
he's my favorite this season.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Me, much like thinking about this like Anth,
You're a big
midfielder,
softie.
okay? Midfielder through and through. And I've seen a big shift in what he's doing, not just on the pitch, but even off the pitch. But the leadership, big, big, big step. Locatelli for me has been my favorite to watch throughout this season and grow. Bremer, Kostic, Danilo,
All
all of
good.
those guys for me, it's very, very hard. Like we're talking a close separation, but for me, it's just Luca. Luca's been my guy, and I've been fucking screaming from the hilltops when people were calling him a flop and everything, like to just calm down. He's been my favorite.
Since his wife had the baby, I think there was now. Again, this is just speculation. We don't know, but we think that there was maybe some issues. Remember, he took some time off at the beginning of the year.
He took
There
personal
was
time
something
right
going.
around, yeah, all
There
that.
was something going on there, but since she had the kid, this guy's been a completely different human being
Yeah, he's been a,
on the
he's been a
field.
monster. But
Absolute
again,
unit.
Bremer, Kostic, some that are shouting Fajoli in the light. Absolutely, Fajoli could
Sure.
be your favorite player this
And
season.
even throw Di Maria in there easily.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that guy.
you could throw Di Maria. Like, I mean, hey, there's no wrong answer here. It's just preference and whatnot for me.
Tech.
I see him as the glue, and I'm seeing huge strides in the leadership portion. Bikram Jeet, will you bench Vlahovic if his form doesn't improve once Milik and Keane are available? For me, it's simple. We can't. You simply can't, and you're gonna need to use all these guys, and at times you're gonna have to play two of them. The nice thing about Milik is he suits that second role in support of either one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't think there's anything, and also that's not gonna. It depends what we consider form, and that's why we were talking about it earlier. He may not have the goals to pay off for, but his play is
Exactly.
actually shifting.
Is exactly that's the case. I don't think his form is bad per se. I think his goal scoring form might not be up there yet, but as far as commitment and the way he plays, and the fight he puts throughout games, I mean, he's doing it all. He's doing everything right at the moment. In the past, I don't know, month maybe, since he came, not since he came back, but in the past month. And just keep it up. The goals will come. I don't think his form is that bad as the stats suggest.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, the when we've seen Milik at his best, well, Di Maria, but it's when we've seen Vlahovic at his best, it's with Milik, right? He's
Yeah.
doing all that sort of dirty work. Now, I'd like to see more of that. I'll even go so far as to say I'd rather see Sule beside Vlahovic before Keane beside Vlahovic.
Yeah.
Sule yesterday was in the right position every time he had to be somewhere. He made the right runs. He was in the right position. He didn't shoot or he didn't, he missed the pass or whatnot. But he did not put a foot wrong yesterday as a 19-year-old. Okay, he's a little bit smaller. He was getting bullied, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But he was always, always, always in the right spot. Keane is never, I wouldn't say never, sorry. Keane is in the right spot less times than Sule was yesterday. I'd
Yeah.
rather see Sule beside Vlahovic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think
and
we're
I
all
gotta
on
add,
the
I
same
mean,
boat when
Milik
it
came
comes to
in as
Keane.
the makeshift striker. I
He
mean, he
did.
didn't
Yeah,
plan on being the
correct.
main guy. And
Hmm.
if you start benching Vlahovic, I mean, he's out the door in the summer.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, Juventus, now 41 points till we get back rightfully what's ours, of course, but 41 points, 7 points away from Milan in fourth place. That's 27 games played, obviously, 11
Crazy.
games remaining. Is that not wild? That not wild?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely
what?
wild.
How are you guys feeling about those 15 points coming back? I was at 0% like a
They're
month ago.
coming
I was like, no
back.
chance.
Coming back.
You're
It's
100% confident.
how long have I been saying the only case that worries me is the salary one? And even our logic
Yeah,
makes sense that it should not be a sporting matter. However, this is Italy we're talking about.
100%,
That is the thing. These original 15 points,
90%.
these original 15 points are coming back, everybody. They're coming back.
I'm
Now,
90% confident.
I want to ask you guys a question. This is kind of our wrap up Storm the Barn thing because I want to ask you guys if like it's just so strange, but did these points being deducted, and I know it's hard to think about it in this manner, but without these points being deducted, would we have had a worse season than what we're actually doing now? Did that force Max to kind of come out of his comfort zone, which we've kind of seen in terms of true faith, okay, true faith in young players, benching guys, including one that was brought in by him, personally handpicked in Paredes, and obviously, however he landed on Fagioli, he went away from it once, but he never did it really in terms of doing it again, going away from Fagioli. Did that 15 points kind of force Max out of his comfort zone and actually bring back a little bit of the Max of old that we used to like in terms of the fire that he carried in pressers, and now really making that stand? And did it help force this identity that we're trying to go back to, which is essentially us against the world?
You want me?
Yeah,
You want me to start? Okay, go ahead, Omer. Yeah, think about this one.
no, go ahead, start.
Uh, n- no, to the point that it forced him to play the young players. I think injuries forced that. So I'll give him like not no credit, but he was forced to play the young players because of you know people's players. What is it? How they were showing, they weren't playing very well, so he was forced to play. Like Fajoli, just he earned that spot, and Suli had to come in because of injuries. It's hard to say that the negative 15 didn't unify the group, right? And it didn't give Max like a bigger voice, especially after November. I want to say no. I want to say we would have been in the same spot, but man, that was a big catalyst for Max and everyone to sort of rally around, and they circled the wagons, and geez,
It
I want to
forced
say
us
no, but
into this unity and this bond that the
Yes,
team
it really
seems
did.
to share right now.
It really did. Yeah. I want to say it wouldn't have made a difference, but yeah,
It's weird. It's
I think,
weird to think about now. If you
yeah.
go back, if we would have just continued on, say we didn't, weren't deducted 15 points, whatnot, if we would have just, I don't know. It's a weird one to think about. Omar, what do you think about it?
We have a saying here that says, when the water's boiling, the sausages start floating. Okay, that's a pretty loose translation, but it basically means
Gotcha.
when things get tough, then some people will have to step up. And I
Hmm.
think that's what happened. I think this deduction sort of unified the team. It took a while, but also Max. And yes, I agree. He had to change a bit of his approach. He had to realize that what he's doing isn't working, and the team is not a team, and he got to start doing better with them. And he has the tools. We know and we see now that he had the tools all along, but it took a while. So I'm agreeing with you. I really believe that deduction may have been sort of a blessing in disguise, even if we get the points back. Now,
Hmm.
having said that, the other teams in the league have dropped the ball massively. They took zero advantage of Juve dropping points. Zero. Inter are at 9 losses this season. I think they had like four last year. That's
I
massive.
think they've
Two
had
of them are
eight the
against
past
us.
2 years. It was something
Yeah.
like eight the past 2 years. Now, I will add to one thing. Damn, I had a point. Oh, with the minus 15 and the way this team's playing, every single team, I'd say, besides Napoli, above us is looking over their shoulder at us, right? They're like, oh, they're done
They
and
never
dusted.
stop.
And Max has done a good job of turning this team around and basically saying, we're coming for seventh, we're coming for sixth, now we're coming for fifth. And I I'm almost scared for the opponents. I don't really give a shit about them, but I'm almost scared for them. If we get the 15 points back, what we're going to do for the remainder of this year and into next season.
Yeah, it really just shifts the tide of everything, those 15 points. But then, of course, we still have the salary one. There's a long way to go. Max is
Mm-hmm.
reiterating everything I've been saying is one step at a time, one
One
game at a
game at a
time.
time.
This one was an absolute beauty. Live chat, you guys were fantastic. Anthony, Omar, always great when we take down Inter. Omar, let's get this. You got one more?
I have two more, but we can narrow it down to one. First of
Mm-hmm.
all the Conte talks after his recent antics. I mean, that's a hard no from everyone right now on Conte coming back.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was on the Conte back train and I'm off it right now. The second one is interesting. I mean, if you look back at in the summer and the purchasing of Bremer was so important. I keep coming back to it because Inter were, everyone was reporting that he's done with Inter
Mm-hmm.
and basically jumping the gun, selling the leaked early and allowing funds to bring in Bremer, and suddenly Inter couldn't sell Brozovic because they had no replacement plan, so they had to keep him, and now they lost him for free. And they brought in a Cherby who is old. They have Bastoni, maybe they'll need to get rid of him. The Fry isn't playing. Imagine if the scenarios were reversed and they did manage to sell Brozovic, get Bremer, and we had to sell the Ligt and had no one to replace him. How different that season would have gone. I mean, that transfer was pivotal for Juve's for Serie A, and the way it's been going, it is going to go in the next few seasons. Because with Bremer at Inter, we're not winning that game, and I don't know how our defense looks without him. That was a major key point for the season, for Juve, and for the league, and
Mm-hmm.
for Inter's downfall. What do you make of that?
Well, there's
100%
nothing
agree with
that we
that.
can really make of it. I mean, it's been kind of showing up. I mean, of course, it was huge for us. We lost Delict, so we were moving away from Delict. But to scoop Bremer from right under their noses
Beautiful.
was a massive, massive move that again was not expected. So, look, we can sit around and talk about these moves and everything, and Pogba and how frustrating it is, but Juve's hit quite a bit more than they've missed. While
Yeah,
people still destroyed Cherubini and Arriva Bene, whatever, in terms of these investigation stuff. But the fact of the matter is, they actually hit way more than they missed. And Cherubini is still the guy that's mostly responsible for the great stuff that we're seeing out of the Juve next gen and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, of course. And Bremer's been a rock for us. We just finished talking about how he's potentially our actual true X factor. So there's not much more we
Yeah.
could say on it, really. And
Nope, 100% agree.
yeah,
Massive, massive pickup.
yeah. But again, that's it. We're out of time, folks. We're out of time.
Out of time.
Everybody in the live chat, you guys have been amazing. Omar, Ant, as always. It's always great on Victory Mondays. It's especially great when we take it to these damn chihuahuas, okay? I remember reading the tweets saying that, and remember, I don't know if all of you in the live chat remember when that Inter fan came in the chat here and said, we are the bar for you guys. How on earth would we be looking back at a team in third or fourth place, third place? Why would we be looking back at a team in third place? We're above you. Okay, there's no way you could be the bar for us, all right? So, keep crying, and everybody, try to stay dry, okay? Because those tears are flowing. Try to stay dry. Flood warnings in effect everywhere, all right? Beautiful. Inter, again, on 3, everybody. 1, 2, 3. All right, get the hell out of here. Everybody enjoy your international break. Of course, I'll keep you up to date on the news. All right, leading up onto the return of Juventus. We may have some fun with the Azzurri during international break and whatnot. We'll wait for that to see. But right now, a good break is needed, and then we can hit April hard. As always, fino alla fine. Forza Juve. And again, stay dry, everybody. Those tears are flowing. Ciao tutti.